So the cool thing about investing in the stock market is you can invest in something like Netflix, which is over $1,000 a share, or there's stocks sometimes that are trading at under $5 a share. And I've picked out a couple stocks under $5 a share, BigBear.Ai and SealsQ, LAES. And I'm going to walk through and talk about each stock. And typically stocks that are trading below $5 are typically more risky. There's issues with the company that the company hasn't overcame. The financials aren't all there yet. When all of those problems get solved, then typically the stock price does better and the company does better. So there's an opportunity, there's a risk reward with investing in companies that have problems or that haven't made it yet per se. And these two companies are a good example of potential growth stocks in 2025 that I personally invest in and I see. On my channel, I talk a lot about quantum computing and this growing theme. A lot of money is being put into quantum and quantum solutions and quantum hardware and software, and the field is growing. And SealsQ, ticker symbol LAES, they focus on semiconductors and quantum security solutions. So they do all kinds of device-to-device authentication, data protection. Essentially, they're building chips for a post-quantum world. And recently, they had a acquisition of Eclipse. So this is a European company that trades on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol LAES. Eclipse provides customers with a complete offering for application-specific integrated circuits and system-on-chip development, from circuit specification, mastering design in-house, up to the management of the entire production supply chain. It has 100 engineers of expertise, including analog, digital, and mixed signal circuits. And then a little bit about SealsQ. SealsQ is a leader and innovator in post-quantum technology hardware and software solutions. Our technology seamlessly integrates semiconductors, public key infrastructure, and provisioning services with a strategic emphasis on developing state-of-the-art quantum-resistant cryptography and semiconductors designed to address the urgent security challenges posed by quantum computing. More or less, the entire internet and most databases are secured with RSA encryption. When there's a sufficiently powerful quantum computer that comes out, that it will theoretically be able to break that RSA encryption. So companies like SealsQ, Arctic Quantum, and other companies that focus on post-quantum technologies will be higher in demand in the future. They're young right now because it's an emerging field in tech. Let's take a look at the financials. And often with small cap companies, we'll see that the revenue just isn't there. So right off the bat, we see that they are actually in negative revenue. They're in negative cash flow, and their operating income is negative 10 million. But one positive sign, and we have to look at kind of the whole picture, is they've increased their cash and cash equivalents, and they've reduced their total debt. And it looks like they have more assets than liabilities as of their last quarter of reporting. So this is where you kind of get that mixed picture where you see that the company isn't super financially strong, but they are in a growing field and they made a really compelling recent acquisition. Investors in the stock market have liked what SealsQ has been doing, and it's been rewarded in the stock market pretty handsomely. So 6 months ago, this stock has gone up 679%. In the last month, it's gone up 35%. In the last 5 days there's been some sell-off. So I want to go a little bit deeper into the chart before we go into BigBear.Ai and just show some patterns that I have personally seen that are emerging with LAES. So this is 6 months of LAES, and I think it's kind of interesting kind of back in December 2024 when we had the euphoria about quantum and all the quantum stocks were going crazy. We saw this reach $10 a share. And then when Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, made his comments, a lot of quantum stocks crashed and LAES came plummeting down to $3 a share. and since then has slowly been selling off and consolidating and a little bit trading sideways. So then recently, if we get a little bit closer to the chart, we see since about middle of May, maybe even if we go back a little bit further, there's what looks like has the potential to be a reversal. So reversal meaning that there's more volume coming in. These volume candles show us that more traders are trading the name. The RSI band is showing us that this has been in an overbought state. And if we look at the move for LAES, we went from $2.35 a share on the 15th of May to $4.33. And we've actually gone and touched this $4 or higher range multiple times. We see that there's significant resistance at 388. So this is a number that has come in play, the yellow line, where the price moves up to 388 and then rejects and moves down. So we closed on Friday at about 345. And for the viewers of my channel, I've basically repeated a few times that I'm not convinced yet that we're moving back up until I see LAES go back through 388 and then higher. So if you're looking at this stock in as a potential investment, what I recommend is just to set a tight stop loss and to do your own analysis and your own research, because that will give you the best conviction. I'm not a financial advisor. I just personally invest in the stock and see the potential for the industry and the stock itself to grow. All right, let's take a look at BigBear.Ai. So BigBear.Ai, I want to first and foremost talk about this. You can go and find articles about a lot of small cap companies about lawsuits or class action lawsuits or that type of thing and allegations. And we know that a lot of the lawsuits or allegations for Big Bear have a deadline of June 10th, 2025. And my personal view on this is that you just see it a lot. It's a money grab, and a lot of these law firms are essentially just trying to personally think that Big Bear has a very interesting technology set and a very interesting commercial proposition. And we'll go into that. So one thing we know is that Palantir is one of the stocks that has done the best in the stock market. Millionaires have been made from Palantir because just a few years ago is trading at $7 a share. And now it closed on Friday at $131 a share, and an amazing return on investment. So investors are looking for maybe what's the next Palantir? What's going to get me to get in potentially early on something like a Palantir? And BigBear.Ai is in the same kind of neighborhood as Palantir and some of the services it offers as far as AI. And so I wanted to show they have this true face. So, and when you go into airports, in some airports, they will scan your face and then they'll use their technology for identity verification. So accurate and fast facial recognition. They have Veriscan. So it takes fast, accurate captures in real time and transmits securely to the biometric matching service for convenient, rapid identity authentication. We know that in the US, in this administration, they're very strong on the border. So we know that technologies like this will be high in demand. They have a Pangiam threat detection. So this is more on the military side, and they give real-time insights. And then they have something called their ARCAs, which is an integration of computer vision, predictive analytics, and event alerting technology. So it's kind of a mix. Big Bear is offering AI technologies for a mix of border security, predictions, predictive algorithms, and military uses. And I believe they even have some solutions for healthcare as well. So they're in homeland and border security, defense, intelligence, travel and trade, manufacturing and supply chain. So very interesting company. Let's take a look at their financials. And we can see that for all time, at one point, Big Bear was $13 a share. That was in 2022. And then it's come down to almost bankruptcy or dang close. And then they just kind of rolled around this $2 to $3 range with a couple spikes. But recently we actually saw, and we'll go into the actual chart and I'll show you this, but in 2025, they had a run up to $10 a share. We see that revenue also has been fairly flat. One thing that's important about Big Bear from their last quarterly earnings is they said a couple contracts they have, they were expecting payments, but they just hadn't hit the account just yet. So perhaps their next quarter revenue could be better. It looks like they're trending in a positive direction on net income. They're trending in a positive direction on free cash flow. And it looks like in March of 2025, this most recent quarter, they did a great job of eliminating their total debt and increasing their cash and cash equivalent. So if you're looking at a company holistically, that's the direction you want to see it going. If they're accumulating more debt and you're seeing less cash, that's the opposite of what you want to see. So if we look at some stock analysis for Big Bear, Big Bear provides AI-powered decision intelligence solutions. There's 3 analysts on stockanalysis.com. The consensus is a strong buy. The price target is $5, which I think is reasonable for Big Bear. And we have 2 at a buy and 1 at a strong buy. So let's go into the chart and also look at the performance of this stock for the last year. So year to date, we're down. But over the past year, we're up 170%. So if you're in Big Bear, for the last year, you're liking the returns you've seen. In the last 6 months, we've seen 91% return. Last month, 23%. And then Palantir had a really nice day on Friday, and Big Bear had a sympathy run with Palantir. Since they're in the same neighborhood, kind of the same ecosystem. As a Big Bear investor since about November, I started over here. I've seen the stock run all the way up to $10, and I've seen it go all the way back down into the 2s. So it's been quite the roller coaster. And you see that it moves with force. It moves down fast and it moves up fast. And what we can see is that after March, after their earnings, they gapped down and they sort of just went all the way back down into the 2s. And then from this point, right about mid-April, when the market was really at its worst and many stocks were getting to a washed out or undervalued point, Big Bear started what I would consider a bullish reversal. And we can see this most easily if I just connect the bottom of these candles and create a rising support. So I've done that previously. And what that shows us is a few things. So first, the stock is in an upward trend. Second, on Friday, we closed fairly close to the rising support. As far as headwinds ahead for Big Bear, if we're looking to see where it will go from here, we don't have a ton of price history. If I go back and look at sort of these areas of Big Bear being above $4 and closer to $5, it doesn't really spend too much time in that range. It either, from this point, it tends to either go up fast or down fast. So the question is, and the question that I ask myself is this a company or technology that is valuable, commercially viable, and will see growth? And my answer is yes. So I believe that the chart is also reflecting that other investors are thinking the same way. And one way we can look at this is we can look at volume candles. So the volume candles down here show us that there was the most volume when they went on their run, when there was major partnership or deal announced. earlier in February of 2025. Then there was sell-off with wider market fear. And we see that we're just kind of at the start or maybe at the doorstep of something where there could be an explosion upward. So will that happen tomorrow? Will that happen, well, tomorrow the market's closed, but will that happen soon, or will that take some time for it to build up? Could Big Bear kind of just do something like this where it kind of just moves up and down and trades sideways around this $4, and then eventually when it has the catalyst move up? Sure, that's definitely possible. The question that I ask myself is, does the company have a valid product? Is it commercially valuable, and is it worth investing in? And the answer for me has been yes. Of course, you need to make your own decisions and decide if the risks, which both of these companies have risks because they're younger companies, they don't have rock solid financials like the biggest companies in the world. So you need to make your own decisions and decide. That's all I got for you. That was two growth stocks I'm looking at in 2025 that I think could move higher if the macroeconomics, if things stay good in the wider market. And both different companies, very different services, but both very interesting in the charts and what they offer. So if you found value out of this video, please consider leaving a like or subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.